Have you ever heard of someone getting paid by the bank to take out a loan? It sounds crazy, right? Like something out of a movie. But what if I told you it's not only possible, but it's a financial strategy that savvy investors are using right now? This isn't about some shady loophole. It's about understanding how the economy really works and using it to your advantage. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand the concept of a negative interest loan and how you could potentially turn debt into a money-making machine. When you take out a normal loan, you borrow money and pay it back with interest. The bank makes money off the interest you pay. But what happens when the world gets a little more complicated? What happens when governments and economic forces step in? That's when things get interesting. The secret isn't in finding a bank that's just giving away money. The secret lies in a powerful, often overlooked force: inflation. Imagine this scenario. You borrow $100 today. But what if, over that same year, the prices of everything around you went up by 10%? That coffee that cost $3 now costs $3.30. The gas, the groceries, everything is more expensive. The $100 you borrowed a year ago could buy more stuff than the $105 you are repaying back today. In terms of real purchasing power, you're actually paying back less than you borrowed. This is the core concept we need to grasp. Inflation erodes the value of money over time. And when it comes to debt, this can work in your favor. How do we turn this idea into a real strategy? Alex isn't a Wall Street wizard. He's just someone who pays attention. He notices that the government is heavily promoting green energy. They want more solar panels, more electric vehicles, more sustainable infrastructure. One of these subsidies comes in the form of ultra-low interest loans for anyone starting a business or investing in the green energy sector. Let's put some numbers on this to make it crystal clear. The government announces a program offering business loans at a ridiculously low interest rate of just 1% per year for green projects. Your credit card is probably charging you 20 times that. Even a standard mortgage is several times higher. This is the first piece of the puzzle: access to incredibly cheap money. At the same time the government is offering these loans, the economy is experiencing a 5% inflation rate. This means that, on average, the cost of living and the price of goods are increasing by 5% every year. In 1 year, he owes the bank $101,000. But because of the 5% inflation, the actual value, the purchasing power of that $101,000, let's do the math on the real interest rate. He's paying 1% interest, but the money he's using to pay it back is worth 5% less. So 1% minus 5% equals negative 4%. In terms of real-world value, the bank is essentially paying him 4% a year to hold on to their money. He is borrowing money, and his debt is effectively shrinking in value each year relative to the overall economy. This is the negative interest loan. It's not that the bank statement says you owe less money. It's that the money you owe is worth less and less over time. Getting paid to hold debt is great, but it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. The real magic happens with the third step. What does he do with the $100,000 he borrowed? He has to use it for a green energy project, as per the loan's terms, so he invests it. He could start a small solar panel installation company, or invest in a portfolio of green energy stocks, or even purchase assets that are part of the green economy. He does his research and finds an investment within the green sector that has a historical growth rate of 10% per year. This could be a well-managed fund of renewable energy companies, for example. So his $100,000 investment is now growing at 10% annually. 1. Alex borrows money at a 1% interest rate. 2. The real value of his debt is decreasing by 4% a year due to 5% inflation. 3. The money he borrowed is invested and growing at a rate of 10% a year. The cost of his loan, in real terms, is negative 4%. So his total effective return is the 10% his money is making, plus the 4% he's saving on the loan because of inflation. That's a staggering 14% return on the bank's money. He's using the bank's capital, subsidized by the government, to generate a significant personal profit. He literally got paid to take out a loan. This might sound like a fantasy, but this is a simplified illustration of what's known as arbitrage. Arbitrage is the practice of taking advantage of a price difference between two or more markets. Subsidized cost of borrowing and the higher rate of return available in the investment market, all while getting a boost from inflation. It's not about finding a loophole. It's about understanding and using the financial tools and incentives that are publicly available. Governments create these programs for a reason. They want to stimulate certain sectors of the economy. They know that this kind of investment creates jobs, fosters innovation, and helps them meet their environmental goals. The low-interest loan is the carrot they use to guide private capital where they want it to go. What if the green energy investment doesn't perform as expected? What if it doesn't grow at 10%? What if it goes down? All investments carry risk, and there's no such thing as a guaranteed return. Alex could lose money. Also, what happens if inflation suddenly drops to zero? Or we even see deflation, where prices fall. Suddenly, that 1% loan isn't so cheap anymore, and the real value of his debt would start to increase. This is why financial literacy is so important. It's not about blindly following a formula. It's about understanding the underlying principles, recognizing the opportunities, and most importantly, managing the risks. You need to do your homework. You need to understand the terms of the loan, the specifics of the government program, and the nature of the investment you're making. This isn't a casual undertaking. You might not go out and take a huge loan for a green energy business tomorrow, but the principle is what matters. The lesson here is to always be aware of the bigger economic picture. Pay attention to interest rates, not just in energy, but in areas like education, first-time home buying, or small business creation. These programs are designed to be used. By understanding these forces, you can make more informed financial decisions. A tool that, when used wisely and responsibly, can help you build wealth. It's about moving from being a passive consumer in the economy to an active participant. It's about seeing the systems at play and figuring out how to navigate them to your benefit. It's just about playing the game with the same rules that wealthy investors and corporations use every single day. So the next time you hear about a government subsidy or a low-interest loan program, don't just dismiss it. Dig a little deeper. Ask yourself, what is the real interest rate when I factor in inflation? What are the potential returns if I invest this money? What are the risks involved? The man who got paid by the bank to take a loan isn't a myth. He's just someone who did his homework. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown helpful, let me know in the comments if you've ever heard of, used a strategy like this. I'd love to hear your stories.